Welcome to episode 3 of 10-minute workouts. This is going to be a 4-part series, and in this week's episode, we're looking at toning and strengthening your bottom, your back and thighs. Now before we begin, I just want to say a massive thank you to you all for staying at home as much as possible and helping to limit the spread of COVID-19. And I know it's not easy, especially with the good weather ahead, but so many of you have been following the rules on social distancing, which is great. But please remember, we are all in this together, and together we can overcome this challenge, just like we've overcome many challenges in the past. Now, whilst you're staying at home and socially distancing, it can be very easy to fall into an unhealthy pattern of behaviour, which can make you feel down, unmotivated, and even dampen your immune system. So it's super important that you stay mentally and physically active, and I really hope this video helps you do that. So what we're waiting for? Let's begin with the workouts. Before exercising, it's very important to always warm up to prevent any injury. Thank you to Millie and Mo for kindly filming and demonstrating these home exercises during lockdown. Let's begin the workout with squats. These are great for firming up the bottom and thighs. Stand with your feet shoulder width apart and your hands down by your sides or stretched out in front for extra balance. Lower yourself by bending your knees until they're nearly at a right angle with your thighs parallel to the floor. Keep your back straight and don't let your knees extend over your toes. Repeat 8 to 10 times. Next up, we have side-lying leg raises, which target the bottom and the lower back. Lie on your left-hand side with your left knee bent at 90 degrees and your right leg straight and in line with your back. Press your right fingers into the top of your buttock to keep your right hip slightly tilting forward. Now raise your right leg as far as you can without letting your hips tilt back. Now slowly lower to the starting position. It's important that you keep your abdominal muscles contracted throughout the exercise. Perform 8 to 10 times and repeat on the other side. Nice work. Now before we move on to the next exercise, let's have a 15 to 45 seconds recovery with a simple jog on the spot. Okay, now it's time for bridges, which are great for firming up the bottom. Lie on your back with your knees bent and heels close to your bottom. Your feet should be shoulder width apart and flat on the floor. Raise your hips to create a straight line from your knees to your shoulders. As you come up, tighten your abdominal and buttock muscles. A useful tip when you're doing this exercise, don't let your knees point outwards. Repeat this exercise 8 to 10 times. Okay, how are you doing? The good news is we're past the halfway point now, but before we move on to the next exercise, let's have a 15 to 45 seconds recovery with a simple jog on the spot. Now let's begin the next exercise, kickbacks. Place yourself on your hands and knees with your knees under your hips and your hands under your shoulders. Now keep your right leg bent at 90 degrees, raise it behind you as high as you can, squeezing your buttocks. Lower back to the starting position. Repeat 8 to 10 times with each leg. We're nearly there. It's now time for the final exercise, lunges, which are great for firming up the bottom and thighs. Stand in a split stance with your right leg forward and left leg back. Slowly bend the knees, lowering into a lunge until both legs are nearly at right angles. Keep the weight on your heels and push back up to the starting position. A useful tip is to keep your back straight and don't let your knees extend over your toes. Repeat this exercise 8 to 10 times on each leg. And that's it, you're all done. But please don't forget to cool down with a full stretch routine at the end to prevent any injury. I will leave a really useful NHS link to warm-ups and cool downs in the description below in case you need it. Now I really do hope that you find these exercises helpful, but please remember, just like I said earlier, it's super important that you stay mentally and physically active whilst you're staying at home, because it's very easy to fall into an unhealthy pattern of behaviour, and it's going to make you feel down, it's going to make you feel unmotivated, and it can even dampen your immune system. Now the NHS have some really useful articles all about how to stay mentally active and loads of general advice on staying at home safely. Now if you haven't seen it, I will leave links to it in the description below, and I'd highly recommend everyone to check it out. Now it's also worth mentioning that if you are looking at trying to lose weight and dangerous visceral fat, I did make a video not long ago all about dietary advice from a study done in Oxford. Now the results of the diet are pretty incredible. Participants lost 0.5 to 1 kilogram every single week, which is great, right? But here's the best bit. After 6 weeks, participants reduced their dangerous visceral fat by 14%. They also reduced their cholesterol, they also reduced their blood pressure, and they reduced their waistline by 5 centimeters. So if you are interested in finding out more, I will leave a link to that video up here and in the description below, so feel free to check it out. And that is the end of the video. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Always remember you're awesome, and I will see you next week. Hey guys, thanks for watching this week's video. Make sure to click that like, follow or subscribe button now to stay up to date with new weekly videos.